Hello everybody, my name is Dratnos, and welcome to my Subtlety Rogue first look here in Shadowlands. Subtlety is a spec that I actually like quite a bit. I've tried to make it good quite a bit during BFA after it was no longer good, but in Shadowlands there's been quite a bit of movement in the Subtlety, area, so let's talk a little bit about what has changed for the spec. So first off, Find Weakness has gone baseline, and it's changed a little bit in functionality. So it says now, your attacks from stealth reveal a flaw in your target's defenses, causing all your attacks to bypass 30% of that enemy's armor for 18 seconds. This means Shadow Dance also applies this, and it can apply it in AoE with Shuriken Storm. So if you Shadow Dance Shuriken Storm, you can put Find Weakness on stuff, and again for 18 seconds. 30% of their armor is going to be ignored. Now, unfortunately, this debuff here only lasting for 6 seconds, but the tooltip does say 18 seconds, so that's some alpha things there being a little bit weird, but no, I think it's supposed to function as 18 seconds. Either way, you then have some finishers that have now been baked in to interact with Find Weakness. So, Eviscerate, dealing 50% extra damage to targets with Find Weakness, and Shadow Vault, which is a new finisher, also deals 50% additional damage to targets with Find Weakness. Both of those will be shadow damage as well, not physical damage, so that has some ramifications that might matter in some spots. Shadow Vault is a new finisher that basically, it's basically just an AoE damage dealing finisher. You do want to have applied the Find Weakness, I guess, to make it fully effective, but all it does is spend some combo points and you jump up in the air and do a Shuriken Storm. So let me show you the difference between these abilities here. Here's Shuriken Storm, here's Shadow Vault. Shuriken Storm, Shadow Vault. Now, Shadow Vault, right now the numbers on this thing fairly low, so you'll see Shuriken Storm for me, tooltip damage is 154 per target, whereas Shadow Vault is only up above that amount at actually not any number of combo points. So no amount of combo points here where it's going to deal more damage than Shuriken Storm, but it can deal 50% extra damage from the Find Weakness, which can bring it above the Shuriken Storm at those higher amounts of combo point expenditure. However, right now with the numbers the way it is right now, I don't think that Shadow Vault's going to be worth casting until you get to a lot of targets. It's notably not target capped. Shuriken Storm is target capped at 8 targets, but either way, I think you're probably not going to want to be using your combo points on this thing. You'll probably want to be multi-dotting around Rupture. Now, Rupture used to be not a subtlety ability. It used to be Nightblade here. Nightblade is now gone and replaced with Rupture for subtlety, so you no longer have this damage taken increase part of it. But I think that multi-dotting this thing around, that is going to be worth a tremendous amount of damage here. Like if you look, 6 combo points on Rupture is going to get you about 2,000 damage, whereas on Shadow Vault it's going to give you 138 damage per target, possibly an extra 50% on top of that. So let's call it 200 damage per target. You'd still see that like multi-dotting around Ruptures looks like it's going to be more damage until you get into the 9 target range. Compared to Shadow Vault, but that number is a beta, or it's an alpha number, right? Those are the kinds of things that I wouldn't worry too much about if I was a subtlety rogue. The tuning of Shadow Vault versus Rupture is something that is very much not something to panic about right now. Other changes to subtlety: Shiv and poisons are back, so you can use poisons as any rogue spec now. Subtlety and Outlaw don't get as good poisons as Assassination. You just have instant poison instead of deadly poison. You still have access to Wound Poison if you want the healing reduction effect, and Crippling Poison and Numbing Poison, which are non-lethal poisons. You can have both of those and Instant Poison all active at once, and now you've got a slowing and an attack spell casting speed debuff all at once. And Shiv will also then can be used as a massive slow and to dispel for enrage effects, but it doesn't do very much damage. It does 1 damage there, as you can see. It says 2 on the tooltip, so not a very high damaging ability, not something that is rotational for any spec except for Assassination, but cool piece of utility to have access to for the spec. Let's talk a little bit about talents. So talents for subtlety. Obviously Find Weakness is gone, and there's now a coming soon here, so we'll see what goes in that spot. Other than that, the only change here really, I guess there's kind of not really anything to report on this talent tree just yet. Enveloping Shadows here, so Shadow Dance has received a little bit of a change where instead of having 2 charges by default, it's now on 1 charge by default, increasing to 2 if you want to use Enveloping Shadows. But yeah, Shadow Dance has become a little bit more of kind of this burst window-y thing, rather than something that you use 2 charges of in your symbols, unless you're playing the Enveloping Shadows thing, in which case I think you're probably still going to be able to use 2 Shadow Dances in every symbols, because of course you can reduce the cooldown, I think, of Shadowlands. There's some mechanic somewhere. Okay, yeah. If you have you have the Deepening Shadows thing, which is your finishers reducing the cooldown on Shadowlands by either 1 second if you're playing it by default, or 2 if you're playing it with Enveloping Shadows. So that mechanic there is still worth noting. Slice and Dice is also added for subtlety in addition to every other spec. So this is an attack speed amp that you can put on for 6 seconds, plus 6 seconds per combo point. Does have an interaction here with Shadow Techniques, where your auto attacks have a chance to generate some combo points and energy. Increasing your attack speed by 50% is going to be a serious increase in combo point and energy generation from this ability, so I'm sure that Slice and Dice is going to be worth maintaining for subtlety. The core of the spec, though, built around Symbols of Death and Shadow Dance burst windows, I think is going to remain unchanged. I think that it's either going to be about doing 2 Shadow Dances per symbols with the Enveloping Shadows trait, or it's going to be about using something like Dark Shadow, and you'll only do 1 Shadow Dance in your symbols, but it'll be even more bursty, especially in that Shadow Dance, especially because Shadow Dance is now an 8-second duration, which would line up pretty nicely with the symbols' 10-second duration, assuming you can reduce this thing all the way down to 30 seconds per go, which is maybe not guaranteed. You have to spend 30 combo points every symbol's window. So anyways, I'm not sure how any of this is actually going to work on live. That's the kind of thing that people smarter than me are going to have to figure out. Of course, Alacrity also an option on this row, so remains to be seen what the choice is going to be here for DPS. And you have this row kind of unchanged here. Secret Technique, it looks like is being affected by a very aggressive form of target capping here, where it looks like the total damage it deals no longer increases for each additional target beyond the first. So it does like double the damage of an Eviscerate total to any, like, and it'll deal most of that damage to the primary target and reduce damage to other targets, but it no longer deals extra damage as you start getting extra targets involved with this thing, is at least my reading here of this tooltip and what it's looked like to me so far, but I could be wrong about exactly how this thing is going to work. This will still be something worth considering. This may even be like a single target thing now, because it's like a double strength Eviscerate on single target. On that 45-second cooldown, that does get reduced by 1 second for every combo point you spend. You will still be able to cast this more often in AoE, so its damage will sort of scale up in AoE that way, because of course you generate more combo points in AoE as the result of the way that Shuriken Storm works. Anyways, that is my preview of the Subtlety spec. I guess I should briefly mention here how the Echoing Reprimand ability works for Subtlety. So this is the Kyrian ability for rogues. Deals some damage, awards 3 combo points, and it charges up one of your combo points. So here I've used it, and it's charged up my second combo point. I've always seen it charge either 2, 3, or 4 as your combo point number. And now that my second combo point is charged, if I can spend exactly 2 combo points, I'm going to get a 7 combo point sized effect for that price. So pretty good value there. But as Subtlety, you do have this unfortunate effect of accidentally generating combo points here. So if I'm not careful, even though I'm trying to spend 2 combo points there, my auto attacks might accidentally get me a 3rd spot there. But it is a little bit predictable. I think Subtlety is going to be one of the better specs for using this Echoing Reprimand ability, because Shadow Techniques is at least somewhat predictable. You can actually kind of track this, your auto attacks, and it'll tell you when you're getting really likely. There's weak cores you can get that'll tell you when you're getting really likely to generate that combo point, because it's there's a system in place that gives you sort of bad luck protection against this. So it is a little bit trackable, and it's possible to react to that. And you can just kind of always like sit yourself right below your Echoing Reprimand ability, so I can be on 1 and know that as soon as I get to 2, I'm going to spend that there and get my full effect 7 combo point finisher guaranteed. So I think that this might be a good single target thing for Subtlety in particular, especially because Subtlety finishers do just so much damage. So getting a free 7 combo point one for the price of 2 combo points might end up being really, really worthwhile if it's not too awkward, to play around rotationally. That's been my video on Subtlety here. I'm going to move on to doing some other classes next, now that I've done all 3 of these rogue specs with videos like this, assuming you guys like it. So let me know in the comments if you'd prefer me to not make this kind of content as well. If you would like me to make more of this kind of content, though, let me know what classes and specs you'd like to see next. And the one I prefer to mostly make videos on the specs that I'm more familiar with, but among those there are quite a few. So let me know which of those you'd most like to see a little roundup like this about, and I will make those videos over the next couple weeks. I've been Dratnos. Remember to like and subscribe and stuff. Check out my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/Dratnos. Thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you in the next one.